Hi everyone, and welcome to round 3 of the CV rework testing. As you can see, Wargaming have now given us a complete CV line for both the USN and the IJN. So here we are. We're now reduced to Tier 4, Hosho on the IJN side, the Ryoju at Tier 6, the Shokaku at Tier 8, and finishing up the line with the Hakuyu at Tier 10. For the USN, we've got at Tier 4 the Langley, at Tier 6, previously she was Tier 7, it's the Ranger, at Tier 8, the Great Wall of America, the Lexington, and finally finishing up at Tier 10 with the Midway. How it looks on the tech trees, let's look a second. This is the complete lineup, so we have Langley, Ranger, Lexington, and Midway. And for the IJN we have Hosho, Ryoju, Shokaku, and Hakuyu. Now I have played all of these on the test server, and I'm a bit mixed about them really. Some are definitely better than others. For instance, the Hosho at Tier 4, with you only meeting Tier 3s and up to Tier 5s. The armor piercing bombs on these planes are absolutely brutal. You're absolutely terrible against destroyers, apart from launching your rockets at them. But the armor piercing can absolutely do massive damage to battleships and cruisers. For the USN, the Langley loves starting fires. It's pretty good at it. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it does deal better at Tier 4 with enemy destroyers and cruisers, whereas the Hosho is just an absolute monster when it comes to battleships. And I'm not sure, are there a lot of battleships at Tier 3, 4 and 5? I suppose if you're playing the Hosho, you are pretty good at seal clubbing Orions. Take out that very popular British Tier 4. At Tier 6 you have Ryoju and you have the Ranger. I must say I've had some good games in the Ranger. Fantastic at starting fires. Brilliant starting fires. Ryoju, again, the armor piercing bombs, they do a hell of a lot of damage. I haven't had as many Citadel hits as I've had in previous tests. I don't know if that's just my play style or anything, but it's a hard choice between them. Coming up to Tier 8 we have Shokaku. I love Shokaku. I've had some storming games in the Shokaku. I really have. I will be posting them up. Plus there's just something about that IJN aircraft carrier magic that I like. But yep, Shokaku, very nice, very well rounded. I love the armor piercing bombs. I love the fire from the rocket equipped aircraft. The torpedo bombers are a bit of a mixed bag. I prefer the IJN torpedo bombers in general to the USN ones. I don't know why. I haven't quite. I just seem to prefer it. And then we have the Lexington for the USN. There's nothing wrong with the Lexington. I've had a 100,000 damage game in the Lexington on the test server. She's a very well-rounded aircraft carrier. The rockets are good. The torpedo aiming time is good on the torpedo bombers, and I really do enjoy the fire chance on dive bombers. I have set constant fires with those dive bombers. Coming up to tier 10, at the end of the lines, we have the Hakuyu. Such a pretty ship. And we have the Midway, the pinnacle of World War II American aircraft technology. I've had fantastic games in both of them. With the Hakuyu, I have managed to citadel with the armor-piercing dive bombers, both a Yamato, a Moskva, and strange enough, I've managed to citadel a Conqueror, which was very, very satisfying. In Midway, the sheer amount of rockets that the rocket-equipped aircraft can put out is astonishing. The high explosive dive bombers are fantastic, and the torpedoes, I'm not sure if they're as fast aiming, as the IJN ones, but literally you cannot go wrong at tier 10 with either of these two aircraft carriers. But it's mainly when you're trying to get up to them that you do have a bit of a problem. And let me explain what I mean. Tier 4, let's say you're starting the line and you're trying to decide whether or not you want to go up the IJN or the USN lines. So you've got the Hosho and the Langley. Now at tier 4, you're either going to set a lot of fires, but you're not going to do that much damage. But over time, that will add up. So it's a question of, do you want to set fires or do you want a chance of getting those citadels? Even though those citadels, I have noticed, don't do a hell of a lot of damage. They're not like higher up when you get a citadel hit and your enemy just evaporates. That's not going to happen, even with the Hosho's armor-piercing bombs. It takes quite a few runs over an enemy and quite a few squadrons equipped with those bombs to actually do any massive damage. The drawback of having the Hosho, though, is you'll just get lots of overpens on destroyers, and because there are lots of lightly armored lightly armored cruisers, you're not going to do a lot to them either. And if it comes down to a carrier on carrier, a Langley is going to do more damage to an enemy CV than a Hosho is to an enemy CV, mainly because of how much fire starting potential the Langley has over the Hosho. When you get to tier 6 though, it's more the other way around. I've noticed that the Ranger has very good fire chance of keeping an enemy permanently set on fire with both your dive bombers and your rocket equipped planes, while using your torpedo bombers once you've softened them up to get permanent flooding. Or if you take the torpedo bombers out first, get a permanent flooding, then you can permanently set them on fire. That compared to that on the Ranger, I think is its biggest advantage that it has over the Ryoju. The Ryoju with its armor piercing can do a hell of a lot of damage to battleships, and there's always a lot of battleships, but you have to have precise aim. The thing about the Ranger is, and what the Ranger has over the Ryoju, is the fact that both your HE bombs and your rockets can set fires. The Ryoju can only really set fires with those rockets, and I don't know if it's me, but I think that the Ranger's planes have a much higher fire setting chance than the Ryoju's, so you do end up setting a hell of a lot more fires, getting a lot more fire damage and a lot more stacking damage as a match progresses. Now here's where we come to my biggest problem. So far, if you want to set a lot of fire damage and earn a lot of damage over time, the USN really is the better of the two. But then we get Shokaku, and Shokaku's bombs, I have the amount of damage that I've put out with these dive bombers has been absolutely phenomenal, because if you look there, maximum bomb damage 7,600, whereas Lexington, her dive bombers, well, her dive bombers do a maximum of 9,200, but I've got way more damage in my Shikaku than I have my Lexington. I don't know if it's just me, but between the two, I believe they're pretty evenly matched. But I've got a lot more damage in matches on the test server in my Shikaku than I have in the Lexington. That's not to say the Lexington is a bad carrier. It's a very, very good carrier. And I think, based on how much I've played, the Lexington actually has a better anti-aircraft suite than the Shikaku. And trying to take out one of these, you will lose so many planes and have to go on so many runs against them, you will have a serious headache. So it's a tough choice at tier 8. Yeah. Then we get to tier 10. We have the Hakuyu. Now the Hakuyu, I can't fault it. I've played a couple of games in her, and I believe the aircraft loadout is really, really good. The rocket-equipped planes lock on really, really quickly when you have the appropriate skills. Her torpedo bombers, they seem to aim a hell of a lot faster than the midways, and the bomb aiming time on those armor-piercing dive bombers is absolutely fantastic. I think the Hakuyu is a fantastic choice at tier 10, but not to be outdone is the midway. And the midway, based on testing here on the test server, I believe I've had my best game out of any of the carriers in the midway, and her anti-aircraft suite is superb. Her chance of setting fire is biblical. The rocket-equipped planes, if you choose the right of the two upgrades, the amount of rockets she puts out is nothing short of breathtaking. Her torpedo bombers, they take a bit longer to aim, and that's my only issue I have with the midways. The torpedoes take quite a while to aim, but they are very straight and true, and each track has 2 torpedoes in them. And the fire chance on those dive bombers is absolutely mental. Brilliant choice. Both of them are. Both lines, I think, in this rework, they're very, very evenly matched. It's just at the low tiers that you have that little bit of a choice, whether you want to go for those citadels, those juicy citadels, or if you want to go for the fire damage. It's not so clear cut when you have the Ranger and the Ryoshu, and then it becomes an even harder choice as you go Shikaku and Lexington. But your final thing, when you get the Hakuyu or the Midway, you will be pleased with either of them. No doubt about that. I will be posting up some gameplay on them. This is just an overview of what I think of the reworked CVs in general. They will be joined by their counterparts who were on the odd tiers, but we're going to get them at a later date. Wargaming says they're going to provide a different role. What that role is going to be, I have no idea. Just one thing before I do finish up. Note that the Hosho and the Langley at tier 4 do not have the ability to summon fighter cover. I believe this is so you can get used to CVs in general without overwhelming overwhelming the sky too much, bringing you in gently into the world of using a carrier. I believe that's everything apart from the captain's skills. Now I will bring up the Hakuyu's captain, as he's got more than lined. We've got some new captain skills, and some of them are really, really good. My personal favourites are this one, which I seem to pick a lot, which increases your afterburner, your speed boost of your aircraft squadrons. Improved engines, which increases the speed of the squadrons in general. At tier 10, the midways rocket-equipped planes become, I believe they can do it over 300 knots. It's maddening. You use them for straight-out scout runs at the beginning of the match and get some early damage within the first minute. Air supremacy, it reduces your time taken, but I believe that's the same on the server at the moment. But this one, this is nice. This, your tough choice is between faster aiming and concealment expert. Now, I've gone for this. It makes aiming your dive bombers and your rocket equipped ones so much faster. I cannot fault this skill enough. I hope it doesn't change. It is absolutely fantastic. Well, that's just about it for my overview of the reworked carriers, all 8 of them now. Overall, I am very, very impressed with the CV rework. I really, really do like it. I know it's more arcadey style, but it matches more in the general theme of World of Warships. And you know, they could have tried to redo the RTS style. I liked it. I liked the RTS style. I've got up to Hiryu and Ranger, but there's just something after you play the newly reworked CVs, you sort of get a feel for them, and the more I've played them, the more I've enjoyed it. Well, thank you very much for watching. I will post up some CV gameplay footage from the server, but until then, I'll see you on the high seas.